Remember the story of David and Goliath? Mm-hmm. I want to share with you, let me see. This is written by Frederick Buechner. He's a theologian. He has now passed. But this is the story of Samuel and Goliath from 1 Samuel chapter 17, told through the language of Frederick Buechner. Goliath stood 10 feet tall in his stocking feet, wore a size 20 collar, a 9.5-inch hat, and a 52-inch belt. When he put his full armor on, he looked like a Sherman tank. Even stripped to the bare essentials, he had plenty to carry around, and flesh and bones were the least of it. There was the burdensome business of having to defend his title against all comers. There were the mangled remains of the runners-up. When he tried to think something out, it was like struggling through a hip-deep bog. When he tried to explain something, it was like pushing a truck uphill. His dark moods were leaden, and his light moods elephantine. He considered underarm deodorants a sign of effeminacy. The stone from David's slingshot caught him between the eyes, and when he hit the dirt, windows rattled in their frames as far away as Ashkelon. The ringing in his ears drowned out the catcalls of the onlooking armies, and his vision was all but shot. But he could still see enough to make out the naked figure of a boy running toward him through the scrub. His hair streamed out behind him like copper, and he was as swift and light-footed as a deer. And then this paragraph, come on, Old Testament, but I'll read it to you. As he straddled, you know what's coming. As he straddled Goliath, with Goliath's sword in his hand, the giant believed that what he was seeing was his own soul stripped of the unwieldy flesh at last for its journey to paradise. And when David presented the severed head to Saul later, there was an unmistakable smile on his great lips. Isn't that something? What a beautiful rendition of that story. Even with its violence. The recognition in those last moments of Goliath that he had been taken down essentially by love. By a small boy with 5 smooth stones. And in that passing, Frederick Buechner says that Goliath came into his paradise. Even the strong, even the Goliaths of the world eventually come to the end. Because love always shines brighter than darkness. It just simply does. It cannot do anything else but shine. This was a challenging week for me in a number of different ways. The gutting of the Voting Rights Act just made me so incredibly sad. I'm still not over that sadness of that. Of just the pure selfishness and greed and power play of it all for dangerous means. That Goliath of wanting to control people's lives for their own, in my opinion, selfish end. I heard someone say, and I don't know who it was, I come across so many different things, that fear is an act of selfishness. And at first I went, Let me think about that. But the more I sat with it, I could sense that fear as an act of selfishness. We don't have time in this talk to unpack all of that. But whenever we go into a state of fear, and sometimes, and we know that fear can be a very good motivating and life-saving thing, right? Fear can be good because it can keep us safe. And when and anyway, I wasn't going to unpack all of that. We have a lot of Goliaths in our world right now. We always have. And maybe we always will, because human beings are human beings and we're egoic beings and we all have our own path and our own learning curve. But right now, those Goliaths are right up in our face. And this week, one of the things that happened, I have a sister who's going through some health challenges, and as I was being with her and with the family around all of this, I had a moment of clarity, a moment of opening with that situation and just with our world. I felt it so clearly that we are in this moment creating our heaven on earth. Can you feel that? Can you imagine it? Maybe just can you imagine it? That with everything that is going on, we are actually creating our heaven on earth. Just as in Frederick Beekman's words, Goliath got that at the very end. He was receiving his paradise. And we have to clean off all the debris. We have to clean the wound. We have a lot of years of, I can't think of even the word that I want to say. We in this country alone, in our 250 years, our country began with genocide and enslavement. That's just our history. You think we get to just dance along and pretend that that's not part of our history, our genetic makeup? There needs to come a time when we go, oh, now I get it. Now I get it. Oh, what can I do to change the course of that history? What is mine to do to show up in a way that is more loving and kind? Not that I can go back and change that history, but I can at least say, oh, if I didn't see it before, I see it now, and I so apologize. To take accountability. And I did see that. It was so clear to me that just, when you have those moments of epiphany, and I could just see that heaven on earth, that we are creating our paradise. Don't stop thinking about tomorrow. Fleetwood Mac. We still need to live in the present moment. We still need to pay attention to what is going on with us, to be mindful, to be present, but also plan for tomorrow. Yesterday's gone. $1 billion. Be in this moment and be hopeful and trustful for what comes next. Does that make sense? Can you feel the possibility of all of that? Can you feel the healing that comes from all of that? One of the other experiences that I had this weekend, and especially yesterday, I had two situations that came up for me to look at very closely, and yesterday was the one I don't know if any of you have experienced. I know people in our Unity community have, because we've talked about it. This isn't the first time that I've noticed this out as I'm driving around Merced, but as I was driving I was at around Loughborough and R Street, and a swarm of young teenage boys, a swarm. Mm-hmm. Have any of you encountered them? There's been more and more. Maybe I don't know. I was in that moment at that time, but I have been seeing it on social media. People complaining about these children doing wheelies and coming right up on your car and weaving in and out. They come right up to your car. Mm-hmm. And I know someone in our congregation that had that happen to them, because I had noticed it out here on 26th Street one day, and I just shared, oh my God, what is going on? And this person shared with me that they had experienced that. And then I started noticing it on social media, and someone said that, yeah, they even were inside the mall, and they shared, one of the kids has a TikTok, and that's what it's about. It's about attention and being daredevils, and showed the TikTok of them riding and doing wheelies in our inside mall. And the security guard just didn't even do a thing. I mean, I don't know, what's he going to do? So I had seen that, and then yesterday, as I was driving up the street, it was at least a dozen. I couldn't count, but I called it a swarm, and they were just weaving, and oh my word, I just couldn't believe. I was so upset by this. And then I just happened to look out my rearview mirror, and one of them on his doing a wheelie right up, just so close to my car. If I had put on my brakes, that kid would have gone over my car. Why am I sharing this with you? Because maybe I just need to share it and purge. But a couple of things. Be careful out there. We are all on alert in our own way. We've had at least 11 years of right up in our faces of bad behavior. And what I got really clear with yesterday especially is the toll that this is taking on our kids. This is not how kids used to behave. I'm sorry, this is not a happy clappy talk at the moment. And I just had to be with this, and what I ended up coming to in that moment. I was afraid for everybody on the street. I knew my own life wasn't in danger, but it was so alarming. I was afraid. I was angry. And as I was able to be quiet and sit with it, I was so deeply, deeply sad that this kind of behavior is happening. Because I don't want those boys to get hurt. I so do not want those boys to get hurt. I don't want any of us getting hurt. I did call the non-emergency police number after I got in a place where I could pull over and call, and I was not the first call they had received. The police are out looking for them. Help, if you see this, please put that non-emergency number on your phone and call and help this situation, because I am so afraid. And I don't like to live in fear. God, this you can tell this really affected me because I can't get off of it. I do have happier stuff. But our children have just been bombarded, and of course we have too, and we've got more tools, don't we? We know spiritual truths. We have practiced them deeply. So for one, let us just shine light on this behavior and see it being resolved gently and without harm. And let it also be a call to love. I realized that old adage that we wouldn't get so upset if I wasn't also feeling that fear and frustration that these boys are feeling. You know, I could feel their fear because we're empathetic human beings. And we pick up those feelings. So we move forward, we find a way forward. And once I was able to, and I need to just be quiet with it more, but just that understanding within me of how much I so deeply care, not only about these boys, but about everything that is going on in the world. If you are also having, if this is familiar to you at all, in your empathic heart, to take even more time in prayer, to take even more time in the silence, to find a way to be the light, to be the love. Tara Brach, the beautiful Buddhist teacher. First, I have to love the fear and the hurt and the anger. Then I can truly, truly love all of us. To come into a place when you're feeling whatever feelings you may have, to honor those feelings. To go, okay, I see you. I see you. I think I probably have told you at different times about one of my Unity minister colleagues, Richard Levy. He was teaching a workshop one time that I was in, and he said our fears, our anger, our monkey mind, any of the disturbances are like little tiny chicks running around our feet, just pecking away at us, trying to get our attention. And I've never lost that image of just that constant peck. They want food, they want attention, they want to be held, they want to be loved. And he said, just pick them up and love them. Hold them in your hands. Acknowledge them. Then set them down and let them go play. Find a place where you can love the fear and the hurt and the anger by acknowledging it. We have to be able to see it to be able to let it go. Some people think, for me it doesn't work this way, that you just let it go. I seem to have a Velcro state of consciousness where things will come back and just go and just stick right back on if I don't continue to do my due diligence. One of the books that I'm reading right now, we've been studying Martha Smock in our study group, and we're starting Meet It with Faith, but I'm also reading her Fear Not. And in her chapter on, I love the title of this chapter, Even If Your Heart Condemns You. Even if your heart condemns you. True healing is the healing of the whole person. We are threefold beings, spirit, soul, and body. And what affects one phase of being affects all three. True healing is the result of consciously knowing the truth about ourselves, the truth that we are spiritual beings, created in God's image and likeness, whole, perfect, sinless, and deathless. We are whole, perfect, and complete. Whatever healing challenges may be going on in your life, if it's emotional, if it's mental, if it's physical, don't just treat that one element. Treat the whole being. Treat the whole being. Anne Lamott shared this quote from her friend Tom Weston this week. We do what is possible, what is practical, simple, and kind. Pay attention to what is going on inside of you. Don't let the fear and the anger overwhelm you. As I said, I felt so saddened this week with the Supreme Court decision. But I can't let that overtake me. I have to find a way, a place. I do not help the situation if I hold on to the negativity and the anger. That is not shining the light. That is only making the infection worse. We have to find our way through. Do what is possible, practical, simple, and kind. John O'Donohue, be excessively gentle with yourself right now. Excessively gentle. In our daily word this morning, life. With joy I dance in the fountain of life. For with you is the foundation of life. In your light we see light. If you can't get to joy, at least come up to amused. And then from amused, we can get to happy. We don't have to take one great leap if we can't get there. Do it in increments, but find a way to raise your vibration little by little by little. Remember, you are the David. And you are guided by love. I know I've been using this, but it's so perfect. Peace is not passive. It asks something of each of us. It calls us to be steady, to be brave, and to keep showing up with open hearts, even when it feels like our efforts won't make a difference. It may feel like that from time to time, but the truth is our efforts do make a difference. The more light we shine, the more light we see. The light is truly working. The darkness that we see is railing against the light, but the darkness must be uncovered in order to heal. It calls us to be steady, to be brave, and to keep showing up with open hearts. Again, Frederick Buechner, do not mistake your stillness for surrender. This is what I was having a hard time with yesterday. How do I surrender? How do I come from a place of being non-resistant when my whole being, its core value system within me we each have our own, but justice is one of my core values. And it just feels like it just keeps getting slammed. Now, I know that for myself. And it may not be yours. I can't speak for you. I'm just giving you this as an example. But if it resonates with you, and again, we all have our spiritual tools. Do not mistake your stillness for surrender. It is the breathtaking, silent roar of a spirit that has finally allowed the tide of pure grace to do the heavy lifting. I of myself can only do this much. The divine spirit within me can do so much more. Don't try and fix it all yourself. Allow spirit to guide and show the way. I think I'm going the wrong way. And I love this quote by Carleen O'Connor. I can't tell you where I got this because it's from a novel. She's a brilliant writer. And I'm not going to do any spoiler alerts. Because, oh man, I would love to. But this is such a beautiful, beautiful thing to say. So how do we move forward? You keep breathing, you keep living, watch the sunrise, howl at the moon, bathe in the stars. For you are a divine being. And with God, we are amazingly powerful. And so it is.